Thanks for joining us. I'm Stickmasterluke. We're going to be jumping right back in to where we left off, so here we are. Alright, so now we gotta run this draw beam function. So we just type in the function name and all the stuff that we want to hand it. What do we hand it? So if we just copy this right here and paste it right here and fill in the blanks. So beam start, where does it start? Where does it start? Okay, let's define a start position. The start position should be from the barrel of your gun. Because this is an effect, we want the start position to be what looks right, so the front of the gun. So we're going to need to define that. So let's go define that up here. Barrel offset is equal to, I had already coded this once before, so I know the barrel offset just after trying different numbers. The barrel offset is vector3.new 0, 0, negative 1.5. So in the z-axis it's negative 1.5, and that's the front of the gun. So from here we're going to need to find the current. So that's just a offset from the handle. We're going to actually make that a C-frame. So we're going to create a new variable, local fake start pose. Because this isn't the real start pose, we're actually casting the ray from the player's head. But visually we want the ray to look like it comes out of the gun. So we're going to make a fake start position. Fake start position is going to be equal to the handle dot C-frame multiplied by C-frame dot new barrel offset. So what we're doing is we're taking the current angle, the orientation, and the position of the handle, and we're going to multiply it by the offset as also a C-frame. And this gives us the offset, the position. Actually, we're going to need to get the position. So we put this in a parenthesis and this in a parenthesis, so we're getting after these two things multiply. And when you multiply these two things, it gives you one C-frame. So we're just going to get the dot P, which again is the positional property of a C-frame. So the start position is that. It's the handle multiplied by the offset and then converting it to a position. So that's going to be the beam start, fake start pose. And where does it end? Well, we have end pose right here. So just copy this variable name, put it right here. What color do we want it to be? Think institutional white is the brightest white. So do brick color dot new. We're creating a new brick color. You can't just type it out as a string. You got to create a new brick color, and inside the brick color you type institutional white. This is the brightest white in Roblox. You can do this by going to Home, Colors. You press this little down tab, and you can see all the shades of white and black right here. So this one on the far left, you can see institutional white when you hover over it. The next one would just be white, light stone gray, medium, yeah. So we got all the shades of gray. Institutional white right there. So that's the one that we're typing in right here. You gotta make sure it's typed in properly, otherwise it'll just be gray. And then how long do you want this beam to last, this beam to fade in midair? A very short time actually, only 0.25 seconds. So 0.25 seconds is a fourth of a second, so it's very short. So you could fire 4 of these in 1 second and they'd all fade away. One after another after another. Okay, so if we want any more code, which we do, we want more code to happen after this beam. So because of that, we're going to want to see when we draw the beam, it has this weight, has weights in it. So the code won't progress unless we coroutine it off. So let's do that. To do that, we do spawn. You type in just spawn function. So normally you call spawn, and that spawns a new coroutine and runs a function inside the coroutine. And so we're putting this one in there like that. Okay, so pretty much what happens is When you get to this line 62, you tell it to run this and you keep going. You don't wait for this to finish, so that we can still run more code when it should be waiting, which it will be doing. It runs all that code normally, but just ignores it, just lets it go off on its own path while we continue on down here. So this is going to be the part of the code that actually nets the player. Let's start off by checking to see if hit exists and if hit.parent exists. So if hit.parent, then end. Okay. Then we're going to want to see if there's a humanoid in what we hit. So we want to check to make sure this is a player and that they have a humanoid. So local target humanoid equals hit.parent find first child humanoid. Done. What else do we need? We also want to see if they have a torso, because we're going to be doing stuff. We're going to be putting the net on the player, so we're going to have a physical object to do this to. So we're going to get their torso. Find first child torso. Done. Actually, that's all we need. So if target humanoid, I'm just going to copy and paste it, and target torso, then make sure that these exist. If not, then we don't want to try to net them, because this is an actual character. We're going to make sure that we're only netting characters here. Let's also make sure that the humanoid has health, so that the person we're trying to net is alive. If humanoid health is greater than 0. Okay. So let's create the net. Local net equals, and we're going to be using a truss part. I don't know if you guys have seen truss parts before, but they look pretty close to nets. Let's create one real quick. Insert object. So let's actually insert object. Where's truss part? Truss part right there. So right here I've created a truss part and put it inside the lobby. But this is a truss part. They're typically used for ladders or for trusses, which is an architectural girder type thing. So you can resize them, scale them, and they get this kind of pattern on it. And I think this would look really good if you just recolor it and rematerialize it. So let's try this really quick. Fabric. So if you use the fabric material, here, let's just do it in the properties box actually. So set the material to fabric. If you set the brick color to something like you got pastel brown maybe, that looks like a net. If you put that on a character, I think it'd look like a net. So we're going to be doing that. Now let me delete this. Delete. Okay. So net equals instance.new truss. It's actually called truss part. So make sure you put the proper name in. We're going to name the net net. The size of it is going to be 2 by 6 by 2. Oops, that should not be local. Actually, that's kind of wrong. Net.size, capital S for size though. Net.size equals vector3.new 2, 6, 2. And the style has a property called style. We're going to set the style to alternating support. Alternating supports. I think I got that right. So that just is, that's the way in which it's rendered, how it looks, and we're just making sure that it has the most amount of beams on it, so it looks more like a net. Net.material fabric net.brickcolor is equal brickcolor.new. It's going to be pastel brown. The first P in pastel. In most brick colors, the first word is capitalized and the second one is lowercase. We're going to set the C frame of it, and the C frame is going to be target torso dot C frame. Okay, so that's I think that's our net. By default, it's unanchored and can collide true. So we should set it to can collide false. Actually, you can put this anywhere. So can collide equals false, so you can't climb on it. It just goes over your character kind of visually. Or if the person you try to net, it goes over their character. It's just a visual thing. It's unanchored. Make sure it's unanchored. By default, it's anchored. It's set to false. Okay. Now we're gonna want to weld it to the torso, to the person that we're shooting. So we want to stick to the thing that we're shooting it to. So to do that, we do an instance weld equals instance dot new weld. Okay, weld. Welds have a part 0 and part 1, a C0 and a C1, and a parent. The part 0 is what it's from, and part 1 is what it's going to. So it's going from the torso. Whoops, not torso, target torso. And it has to be a physical object. You can't put the humanoid here. That's why we got the torso, so we have something to weld it to. And we're gonna weld the net. So we're welding the two things, the torso and the net. And then we're putting the weld inside of the net. The weld has to be an object inside of workspace for the weld to actually take place. So we're putting it inside of the net. We're also going to want to define how these two things are welded, and to do that, weld.C0. C0 and C1 are the two different kinds of C-frames that define where and how these two things are connected. Okay, so C0, we're only going to be setting C0. We're going to set it to C-frame. I'd already coded this, so I messed around with it a bit, and I got some angles and positions that feel nice. So cframe.new, and for the y vector you want to do -0.4 minus math.random times 0.4. Okay, so this math.random times 0.4 is all in parentheses. So what you're doing is it's going to be some number between -0.4 and -0.8. That's what the math is going on right here. Because when you do math.random, you're getting a random number from 0 to 1. So random number 0 to 1 multiply it by 0.4, creates a random number from 0 to 0.4, and you're subtracting that from -0.4. So it's a random number between -0.4 and -0.8. And then we're going to also want to multiply it by cframe.angles. Inside here, you're going to want to put 0, math.pi, because we're working with angles, so we're going to be using Euler angles, times 2, math.pi times 2, times math.random. So this gives us a random rotation from 0 to 60 degrees in the y-axis of cframe.angles, and then comma, and this is the z-axis. You're going to want to put in math.random times 0.3 times, oh whoops, sorry, this math.random should actually be math.pi. Math.pi times 0.3 times parentheses, and inside these parentheses you want to put math.random 0, 1 inside the math.random parentheses, and then minus 0.5. So this is this is the formula that makes the net look really nice on top of the character, on top of the torso that you're welding it to. So when you shoot one and you shoot another one, there's math.randoms in here so that it looks different. You can see each one. They're not stacked inside of each other. You can see both the nets randomly placed kind of on the character that feel and look nice. So now that we got C0 down, we don't need to do C1. Okay, so this character that you're hitting, we're going to want to slow him down because it's a net gun. So target humanoid dot walk speed equals 6. So by default, 6. By default, the walk speed is 16. We're going to be setting it to 6. That's considerably slower. It's less than half. It's like a fourth and a half of a fourth. I don't know what that is. 3/8. 3/8 is slow. Okay. Then net.parent, set it to hit.parent. Okay. And then, like I said before, whenever you're putting anything into the game, you want to make sure for sure that it gets removed eventually. So we're going to add this to debris service by using the add item function on debris. First thing you give it is the net, and then you wait 6. So in 6 seconds, it will be removed for sure thanks to the debris service. Okay, so right now, if you shoot someone with the net, it lowers their walk speed to 6. Let's change this. What we want to do is if it's the second net, so if this person is already netted, we want it to blocks them, finish them off. So like you shoot them once, it slows them down. You shoot them again, it blocks them. So down here, do if target humanoid dot parent. So the parent of the humanoid that we're hitting, the target humanoid, we're going to look for a net. If a net already exists in this character, then end. Okay, so in here, we're actually going to want to wait 0.5 seconds, but like the coroutine, remember how we use spawn to make sure that it does this code, but then it keeps going before waiting. So it keeps going. We're going to use something called delay. It's very similar to spawn, but you give it a time limit to wait before running the coroutine. So we're going to use this function called delay. It's going to be, we're going to wait. The first value is how long you wait, and the second value is a function, just like spawn. Like that. So in 0.5 seconds, it's going to run this code, but it just keeps going. So even though we tell it to run this code, it keeps going to put it into workspace. Because if we didn't do a delay here, if we just waited 0.5, if we didn't coroutine it using delay, if we just waited 0.5, it wouldn't put the net in the player. It wouldn't ever actually put the net on the character because it would never get parented. Okay, so after this 0.5 seconds, we want to make sure target humanoid still exists. If target humanoid, then end. And this is where we're going to block them. So target humanoid, take damage. 100. All 100 of your HBs gone. You are now blocked. Hopefully it was the mad Bloxxer. One thing that we're going to want to do is, if you remember from the sword, is create a tag so that a leaderboard or something knows who blocks who. So we're just going to copy this code from the sword, put it into our net gun in our server script. And you want to do this before the damage line. So what this does is it takes the target humanoid, because they're using the same variable names, takes the target humanoid, removes all the current tags for who had previously damaged it, and creates a new tag saying that I'm the last person to injure this player, so that the leaderboard knows who blocks who. And that's that. So we've tagged them, and then we block them. Another thing we want to do is, if you net someone, maybe you don't want them to be 6 walk speed forever. So let's change that a little bit. After 5 seconds, we want them to be back to their normal walk speed. How exactly do we do that? So again, because we want it to happen in 5 seconds, but we also want code to continue, we're going to wait 5 using a delay. It's a coroutine. 5 seconds, a new function. Okay, so if the net exists, if net and target humanoid and target humanoid dot parent, make sure that the character exists that you're trying to, oops, type this wrong, target humanoid. We want to make sure the target humanoid exists and the target humanoid's parent exists, so the character exists. Then remove the net. So the net only lasts a little bit of time, 5 seconds. Net remove. Remove is a function of most things. It removes them. So we remove the net. That's that. But we gotta actually set the humanoid's walk speed back to default, which is 16. So if we want to make sure that there's not another net on this character. So after you remove this one, we want to make sure that they're still not netted. So if not, this is what we use to check if there's a net on the humanoid. So we're going to paste that. So if there's a net in the target humanoid's parent, which is if there's another net in this character, then, or if not, you want to make sure that there's not another net. Then, you know what? Let's also do another check. And target humanoid dot walk speed. And if their walk speed is still slow, then let's put it back to normal. So target humanoid dot walk speed equals 16. And that should put their walk speed back. So I think that's everything. Let's do a test. So what you want to do is go to the test tab, and because we're going to be netting another character, we're going to need to start a server with 2 players. So test and then start. Alright, here we are. Right now I'm using character 2. And you can see right here we have the net gun. So I'm going to click that. Looks like I typed connect wrong on line 43 of the local script for the net gun. Close that, close the server. Okay. In the local script of the net gun, 43, I believe it said. Yep. Connect wrong. Okay. Now we gotta do that again. So it starts the server, starting another player. Alright, so here I'm controlling player 2. Select the net gun. My character equips it. Cool. Let's see if it fires. Nope. Parent is not a value of tool. On line 45. Close this. Line 45. Oh, wrong script. Line 45. Tool.parent. Oh, I typed parent wrong. I was really confused there for a second. I put an A right there, and I think I copy pasted it right there. Let's Control F. Spell it wrong. Make sure I didn't spell it wrong anywhere else. Cool. Okay. Let's do another start server, start player. Okay, select the tool. Ooh, do you see that? Oh yeah. So you might be hearing it multiple times because we have different studios open. And you can hear the sound from each of them. But right now, I'm using this character, and you can see how it fades away in the same direction every time. That's the wind vector, and you can see it fades away in transparency, which is kind of nice, and it makes a nice sound. That's the sound that came with the tool. Okay, now let's try it on this guy over here. Alright, here we go. Oh, something didn't work. What did it do? Went right through him. Okay, let me look at the code real quick. Gotta close this, These problems are typically the hardest ones, the ones where the code runs without an error, and then you know that you have a logic problem. So, let's go to the local net script, because I think what's happening is my check tangible function is doing some undesirable stuff. Oh, right here, what I do is we're going to want to remove this. I wish I had mentioned it earlier, but hopefully you guys are still watching. This right here says hit.parent find first child humanoid. You're going to want to get rid of this, because what it means is it's going to ignore everything that has a humanoid in it. So we got to get rid of that line so that it works when you try hitting another character. Because right there it was ignoring characters. All characters. Anything with a humanoid in it was the ray would keep going straight through it. So we got to make sure the ray hits characters. Okay. Got my tool. Fires still. Oops, I missed. Didn't seem to net him. Okay, so I think we got a server script because it stopped working. You can see the client stuff still works, but the server script isn't drawing the beam anymore. So we go to the server, and we look in the output. Humanoid, a nil value. So I think we used on line 69, we used the variable humanoid instead of target humanoid. So on line 69 of the local server script. Let's go to 69. Here it is. Humanoid. Yep. This should be target humanoid. Okay. Let's test it again. Here we are. Equip it. Oh, look at that. We netted him. And now if we quickly switch over to this character, you can see he walked really slowly. Select my player 2, shoot player 1, switch over to the player 1 window. You can see I can walk really slowly now, but only for 5 seconds, and then the net expires. So our code seems to be working really well. But it's also supposed to block the person if we shoot him twice with the net. So let's try that. Yeah. So if you shoot a person with 2 nets, you're confirming that you want them to be netted and they get blocked. Sweet. Alright. So, that's the end of this lesson number 2 on how to make tools. We've got our net gun and we've got our sword. Thanks for watching, and remember, you make the game.